Hello there! And this clip is an introduction to my languages video. In this, yes, we got our guest star, my perfume that smells really nice. I'm gonna spray myself with it. So that's video about what I've done in my language learning. In this video I will talk about languages that I was learning German, French, Italian, Japanese, and a couple more. Okay, let's get into it already. German I started learning in February this year, 2020, February 2020. There was music, I downloaded music, I've been reading sites, trying to read, listen to TTS that I was doing. I think German was the most professional approach I had to it in this year. I also started doing some grammar related stuff and stuff like that, and that gave me a lot of progress. However, I got bored and I quit, but I shouldn't quit. I will continue it in the next year. But that was it. I was reading. I learned tenses, and all this habe gemacht, ich mache Süßigkeiten and stuff like that. I might sound not very professional right now, but I learned something. We all sound different. That was German, yes. Oh, this is another part. We are in another location. In this video there will be more actions that I originally planned. And I also wanted to add that it's not about one more language. I would say that I am not a native English speaker, and English was also a priority for me in this year. And in English and in languages in general, for me it's not about how much you learn, it's about how much you keep as well. Because keeping, repeating stuff, because we forget really easily. We can forget the second day or after a month, and that will be a disaster. And I was repeating a lot. I was using the language, was using English with other languages too. I was trying to use it as much as possible. And yeah, I was also watching English television stuff, so I was keeping it. Already been 7 years since I learned English, more or less, but I still was repeating it. It was kind of improving my level, if you know what I mean. And that's that was huge. That was huge. Okay, we are moving on. The next language I learned I also learned French, and I started it recently, relatively recently, because I started in December, or in November. Yes, I think it was November. And I was kind of obsessed at first, and then I still continued. I was translating, was reading one book. Actually, it's a series. I already filmed a video about that, separate video, way before this, what I was doing, and even gave some little concept and stuff like that. And French was however, I was trying to learn it previously, in spring of this year, obviously, and You know, it's like, I mean, I found a few YouTubers, I found a show, I was watching a show, so I had like a background to like encourage me in a way. And that's what I like, worked out in this November when I like renewed these sessions with my French. And that was like, you know, that wasn't like the hardest language ever, but it was nicer than, you know, like some Eastern languages, because it was easier to understand, I mean that. And, you know, that was like French. And, you know, like, I think it was pretty nice. I mean, I will continue it in 2021, of course. And that was about French. Another language I've been learning this year was Italian. Italian for me was like the first language, like first foreign language that I wanted to learn after English. And I sort of did. I learned a few phrases, but it's not about that. It's about how I learned. Like I started like, you know, even before the 2020, at the end of 2019, as in 2020 I also was studying a bit, like, you know, that winter was kind of productive for me in terms of language learning. And I was like translating a few articles, like not entirely of course, but I started translating them and listening. I was listening to TTS, I got TTS on the computer. I thought that like since it worked for me with English, it will work for me with Italian, but I was kind of wrong in that direction, because like English we learn it everywhere, like at school, at TV, everywhere, channels, like some, you know, like techniques, tech stuff and stuff like that. Like, and we are like have a solid background for that. Like with Italian, it was like completely different experience. I couldn't find like any series or shows in Italian. It's like mainly like, you know, only like on YouTube there phrases, you know, the video with phrases. I was like hearing that and kind of sort of learning. I also got this like polyglot course from, it's like one polyglot from, you know, Russia, and he like making like old polyglot, he was making like, you know, stuff like shows he was making with one channel, and like I've been doing that, but that was like, you know, like ton of hours, and like it was kind of boring show for like, you know, in terms of entertainment. With English for me it was like different. There was English Club TV channel, it was entertaining, there was clips, there was videos, shows, like they was showing constantly the Britain, the beautiful buildings and stuff like that. And here it was like, you know, just this like dry academic like stuff, like similar experience to just reading pale, plain like grammar book. And you know, it was kind of discouraging in a way, but I still managed like to learn a few phrases, and I was like, you know, this approach. I wasn't like watching one episode then another. I just started like from the middle, because you can start from the middle there. Like it's like course you have as an entire course available for you. And I'm kind of thankful that I learned, you know, like a few phrases. Like I learned io amo caffè di caffettiera. Caffettiera, yes. And that was like, you know, but like io amo contadini di Italia. Like I learned this like most used like, you know, verbs, phrases, not phrases, but like verbs and nouns, and I was trying to combine them into sentences and these few phrases. And the most notable thing about it is that I actually trained it as good that I can remember it like anytime, like even in the morning, in the midday. Like I really like understood those phrases and sort of trained them to being automatic. And you know, that was like my Italian journey. This is like another part of this video. In this part I'm telling you about me learning Polish and probably Dutch, yes. That's like two languages I considered learning in this year. And it wasn't that fruitful at all. It was like I started and just watched a few videos and then I just quit. But for Polish it was slightly more than that. I was like constantly watching these videos and I understood a lot actually. And then I also subscribed to few like Polish, not polyglots, but just bloggers, you know, and then on these Instagram pages, like when they post like different sentences to pictures. I read that, like I kind of good at understanding Polish like while listening, but not that good at reading because you know that letters kind of complicating for me. And that was like more than nothing, but less than pretty good job. I also studied some Dutch, yes. I was kind of excited about it, but I think like, you know, it's not like that global, so I didn't have like enough like fire of persistence to proceed with it. It just like was, I just looked at it and it was like pretty much it. And there's a few more languages that I tried to dabble in but actually failed, you know, but it's in one way I failed, but in another way I sort of enlarged my imagination and experience about other countries' cultures. Yes, that I did that. And it was kind of satisfactory in the way. So that's like, I really was trying to feel myself like a polyglot this year, yes, by dabbling in those languages. So, this is outro clip, and in this clip I want to summarize my learning experience of this year. It's been an eventful year in my learning experience in terms of enlarging my worldview. This is also was like the first year when I could feel myself more like a true polyglot. It's also been less distressed year because I had an online university and that impacted my language learning process as well. I am hopeful for 2021 in terms of enlarging my view on horizons and understanding the bigger amount of people on YouTube, on the videos that I might watch in the future. I'm also a step closer to being that kind of person, like spies like Stirnitz and Subaru, those very admirable people, because they knew a lot of languages, and that is a true accomplishment for me. Thank you for your attention, and I also think that we all should rise above our routines and do things that will lead us to that desired step ahead in any aspect of our lives. That was it for today's video. It was such a polyglotic video, kind of video, and that's it. This is the end. Merry Christmas.